Hi everybody, it's Valerie here bringing you part 3 of my answer to why burnout is prevalent. Today focusing on the sense of self. So what I have been talking about is number one, that there is an inverted triangle, that our identity, sense of purpose, more and more is coming from what we think is our achievement, what we can do, our success, our hustle, also our guilt that we can have about what we're doing when we are tied to outcomes, when our sense of self and our purpose is tied to outcomes. That actually inverts the whole picture for where we get a sense of achievement and meaning and purpose. That was part 1. Part 2, I talked about meaning and purpose. I talked about how we've come to misunderstand purpose as something like a big achievement, a big life goal, though those things are not bad. And I talked about the history of the word of purpose and meaning, which really comes from having a deep understanding of our experiences, and often adverse experiences or things that we've watched adversely happen in the world, and seeking to have a deeper connection with why these things happen, who we are in the midst of these things, more clarified perspective into our relationships and how we will live the rest of our life. And today I want to talk about self-concept. Now, I want to say that what I'm talking about is basically my purview, my overview of the burnout literature, and I will eventually talk about then our relationship with work, because you can't actually talk about burnout without having the marriage of sense of self, purpose, a resilient posture and mindset, as well as the work factors, which include organizational issues, work issues, and our relationship with work. But for today, part 3 is sense of self. So the sense of self is really important in the burnout framework because basically, let me unpack 3 things. Self-concept is how we see ourselves, right? When we walk away from the mirror, who we intrinsically see is me. What I stand for, what I believe in, my personality, my characters, my values. It's a consistent picture of who I am, even though the situations might change. And a self-concept is linked to self-esteem, which is essentially how I then evaluate myself, right? Do I intrinsically see myself as the sum of strengths and some positive qualities? Do I intrinsically see myself as the sum of limitations, weaknesses, and negative qualities? And the third thing is self-awareness. A lot of self in this. The self-awareness is the ability to hold in awareness from moment to moment as we encounter experiences and people in life and situations, to be able to go into our experience of it, our thoughts and our feelings, our changes in our physiology, the changes in the way that we're perceiving and interacting with what we're doing, and to make adjustments or to tune into our emotions and figure out, okay, what is going on, what is needed in this moment for myself and for the other person, right? And so these 3 concepts tied together form part of a sense of self. And in the burnout literature, that sense of self is actually quite vulnerable. And where it actually gets more and more of a problem is, number 1, we allow the situations to actually overtake who we think we are. And so we define ourselves as a moment-to-moment experience, and often not really having an assurance of our character, our personality, our integrity, our contentment with who we are, nor do we have the ability to then be self-aware and have that space and time to reflect, because we're reactive. And so what we're doing is we're actually just taking on more and more and more and more, and hoping that the more we do or the more that we take in, that will give us like a more accurate picture of whether we're doing okay in a situation. And of course it's linked to self-esteem, which is you see, the thing about burnout is it is also fundamentally a lack of confidence, right? A lack of certainty that we're going to be okay, we're going to do okay, we're going to give it our best. So, put very simply, therefore, the sense of self in a reactive, unclarified, non-defined space sucks up whatever input it can get to get a sense that you're doing okay. And how that relates then to the next level in terms of our relationship with work, our relationship with others, our relationship with ourselves in terms of the self-care dimension, is that we won't have the clarity, we won't have the confidence, we won't have the practice, we won't have the sense of certainty that what we're actually doing is going to make a difference. So just one very quick example. If you're already feeling burdened at work, and your sense of self is fragile, and your purpose is kind of tied, your identity is tied to what you're doing, you're very quickly going to start feeling worthless, low a sense of achievement, and like a failure. And when you're feeling that, you're not actually going to have the gumption or the confidence to think how you can negotiate, how you can assert, how you can ask, how you might be able to negotiate your role, or think about cross-department solutions, or advocate for things, or even just have the courage and the strength to turn up every day and to have your conversations with your colleagues, or even difficult conversations with your managers. And you're certainly not going to have the real resourcefulness or the creativity or the fortitude to persevere. So really, it's all linked, right? So to say that burnout in today's age, in terms of, I think, what is causing the systemic, epidemic rise of burnout, it's not just about looking at the work hygiene factors, although that is really, really important, and that'll be topic number 4, which is the workplace, our relationship with work. It's also to look at purpose, a sense of self, and then our relationship with the hygiene factors like self-care, our relationship, how connected we are with other people, and then our relationship with work. Okay, catch you later.